Hey guys, so just before we start, I want to quickly apologize about my appearance. I wanted to wait until my hair was dry to film this video, but I can't really wait any longer. People start showing up at my house, because obviously I live with my family. So, you're just gonna have to bear with me. If you've ever watched some of my videos on my other channel, I do film with wet hair a lot, so it's not that different for me, but yeah, I know it doesn't look that great, so sorry about that. But today, I'm going to be doing a review on A Torch Against the Night by SNPbeauty, and I did a review for An Ember in the Ashes not that long ago, like a couple weeks ago, and so now I'm gonna do this one. And overall, to start with plot, I have to say that I do think that An Ember in the Ashes, the original, is better than this one. I just found that this one has a bit of a slower plot, and I know that the Ember in the Ashes has a slow plot to begin with, but I feel like this one, takes a lot longer to get past that than it does in the first one. That might just be me, because they are both kind of slow at the beginning, but I did find that this one was harder to get into than the original. Overall, I did like the characters in this book. I found Laya, the female character, to be a lot more interesting in this book. She is developed a lot more than in the first one. In the first one, I didn't really like her. I was reading it mostly for Elias, but in this one, I really did start to enjoy her character. She has a lot of growth in this book, and I really appreciate that. One of the fundamental differences in A Torch Against the Night versus An Ember in the Ashes is that this book introduces Helene's perspective, and I really did like seeing Helene's perspective. She's a very unique, interesting character that I enjoyed, and I find her to be an extremely good counterpart to Laya. I think that their character foils that's sort of going on there is very interesting, and I really liked getting that extra perspective. I really enjoyed the introduction of new characters in this book, and I liked the way that development occurred for the old characters. I still really love Elias in this book especially, but I did really love him in the original. I just think he's a great character. He's one of my all-time favorite male characters, and he's really what shines in both of these books, and I just love him. That's mostly why I like to read these. I did find it a little bit hard, not so much of a page turner due to the extra perspective, because sometimes you'd get a situation where it was Laya's chapter, Helene, then Laya again, and then you're waiting so long to get back to Elias, but it sort of just worked anyway. I didn't really find that much of a trouble getting through the book. I really enjoyed the sort of stuff they went into in this one more than the first one, with sort of supernatural, fantastical elements. I really enjoyed all of that stuff. It's very interesting, but overall I'd have to say that my two pitfalls for this book as opposed to the first one. Now keep in mind, I gave the first one 5 out of 5 on Goodreads, so I really enjoyed it. This one I gave a 4.5 out of 5 because it's got two major problems. Basically, my first problem with it is how slow it is. I did mention that before. It starts off pretty slow, and it does take a while to build up to some more action to be a real page turner. And it feels very much like a second book. And I know maybe that sounds kind of stupid to say that, because it obviously is a second book, but An Ember in the Ashes, just a little background on SNPbeauty, she was a brand new author, so she wrote An Ember in the Ashes as one book, essentially. Like, obviously, she kind of left it a bit open-ended so she could continue with the series, but she didn't know if she would get to, so An Ember in the Ashes feels like a very contained package, like a very contained book, where most of the loose ends are tied up. This book feels like the middle of a series. It's sort of open at the beginning. It has a very nice, concise ending that I enjoy, but it is still very much open, and it really doesn't have that much that happens. It's a lot of development, and I also felt like the world building in A Torch Against the Night was a lot less, rich and vast. I felt like the world building was sort of hastily handled due to character building more so. Overall, I don't really think those are overly a big deal to put against the book, because it is a second book, right? So since she's continuing the series on now, she wants to do 4 books, but we know for sure there's at least going to be one more. I really think that she will fix that, and it's only going to be a problem with this book. I really enjoyed Darren's part in this book, who is Laya's brother. Every time he was in the book, it was very enjoyable to me, even though he was only featured a short amount of times. Just felt like he was a really interesting character. all of the characters in these books are very diverse and unique, and they feel like real people, and that's something else I really like. I do really like Abba Tahir's writing. I think she's a great author. I'm excited to read the next one. And overall, I do think this book is a good book. I think that it is a little bit less than the original. I just don't think it was as perfect to me. I do definitely think it's worth a read though, and if you like the first one, you will absolutely like this one. And as long as you are fine with the introduction of Helene's point of view, which, like I say, I thought was very interesting, it's a very good book. It's very comparable to the original. The story totally makes sense, and what I do really like about it is that even though I love the original, it has an extremely stereotypical YA dystopian framework to it. It's like basically identical to those books. And this one feels very unique. It doesn't have that issue. It definitely stands alone. I thought it was a great book. Like I say, I gave it 4.5 out of 5. Really, it was a 4 out of 5 stars book for me for most of it, but the ending was really, really good and very interesting, and I actually really liked the way it went. I could see some people having a problem with it because it was a little bit something a little controversial maybe, but I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it basically gained an extra half point just because of that. I probably could have given it 5 out of 5, but it just wasn't amazing throughout the entire book, so that's why it's got a 4.5 out of 5. So yeah, that is my review for A Torch Against the Night. I really hope you guys liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye! Hey guys, so I've seen people doing these kind of videos called like wrap-up videos where they show you what they've read throughout the month.